homes in...
The home is 38 Thornton, and then they decided to sell that.
Okay.
And at that point, where was I? I was living, Grandpa Frankel owned something called the Janet Manor, 217 South Berendo in Los Angeles, at 3rd and Vermont, roughly.
There by yourself?
No, I wasn't married, and I got married, and we moved in a honeymoon.
But here's the point. You lived at home on Thornton.
Yeah.
Until you were married.
That's right.
And as soon as you were married, you and my mother moved into the Janet Manor.
Your mama, right.
Okay, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Moved into the Janet Manor.
So what tell us about the early years, even before you had your first child.
Well, no, let's go back to when I met your mother.
Yeah.
And what was I doing? I was studying to be a real estate person, and I had to have the book.
Why did you choose real estate?
Probably because Grandpa had bought and sold, and he was doing real estate. He wasn't
your father.
He wasn't a broker.
Or your grandfather.
No, my grandfather.
Oh, your grandfather was buying and selling.
Yeah, he was involved in real estate. Nobody else I knew was involved in real estate.
Did he tell you anything?
Yeah, he told me when the garage doors were falling off because of the hinges, we got big wooden matches, broke off the head and pounded into the hole, and then the screw went right in and held it tight. So that was one thing that stands out in my mind, you know. I mean, a lot of little details of life. I didn't even tell you about the backyard back at Heliotrope. I forgot to tell you the backyard. A very important point. There was a, what do you call it? When it allows to have a fire in it, you throw trash in it.
Oh, yeah.
It has a chimney. What?
Incinerator.
I guess you would call it an incinerator. Anyway, they outlawed them eventually, but we wound up wearing out a couple of them. And you buy a new one, you put it in, there it is. Take the trash and put it in the trash can and take it away and do something with it, bury it. I don't remember what we did with that. But I had victory gardens there. I didn't even tell you about the victory gardens.
Let's hear that.
Victory gardens at one point, but other times it was just a garden. And bees.
What's the difference? The
bees, we had a fence between me and Jim and Beverly, the two boys over there. The fence was a nice fence, but it had some sort of, and these bees are this big. Never bothered you. They never bothered you. Well, you didn't get close to them. You didn't try to get close to them, but they never were not like regular bees. You don't want them near you. But and then in the tree, we had a big tree in the backyard. So I went up there and put some lumber and I found old piece of this, old piece of that. Nails. I would take a hammer until I got them straight. And then I'd hit it and it bent again. Get another one, bend it, straighten it out, bend it, hit it. And I built myself a little tree house up there. And it was a little mean. Your grandma, and I guess she'd be your aunt, Reba, that was her sister. And your uncle, David, would be your uncle, I guess. Anyway, he was a late child, a real late child. But Reba and Sarah were basically involved with anything to do with, as I knew it, with Morris Frankel. He spent some money on David because David just was a little slow, it appears to be. And then my thinking of it at the time, I didn't realize it. But he was really fast when he decided he didn't like me. And he cut down the tree. Oh. Came over and cut down the tree with no reason at all for him to cut down. Yeah. And that was nice.
How'd that feel?
I didn't like it. I didn't think it was a good idea.
Right.
I don't know. I remember seeing him do it, actually. But I know he did it. I mean, that was the word. Right. Grandpa's got to take it down. I never complained to anybody. I really didn't know how to go about doing anything about it, actually. The only thing I could do about it was saying, that wasn't nice. So anyway, that's the backyard and so on. So then the garden and the rest of it. I think I've covered it pretty well.
Yeah. What's the difference between a victory garden and a regular garden?
I don't know. Maybe the word.
Okay. So
Well, the idea of victory was because the war was on and you were trying to do things for the war effort, and by making food, it's helpful.
Now, think about your relationship with your brother and your sister.
Oh, it was great. I thought it was great, and especially when we were building we were trying to build a little racer thing with wheels and this and that, and driving and things like that. Well, the driving shaft goes down, had to be bent. So we put it in the fire, a piece of, what do you call that, rebar.
Right.
Put it in, and we bent it around like that, and Joe picked it up. burned his hands pretty bad at the time. Yeah, and you'll remember. You ask him about it. You remember building a little racer with the rebar? Anyway, that was a little thing that happened, and I believe we were still at Heliotrope at the time. Oh, one thing I didn't mention, skating.
Yeah.
Because last night when I said skating, it didn't mean the same thing as what I'm talking about. I'm talking about real skates that you put on your feet.
Roller.
With a key. You got the key in there, and you tighten them up, and away you go. And away I went. I went like this, all by the movie studios. We were close enough to where I was go by the movie studios on, I don't know, Sunset or Hollywood, one of the streets. Okay. It was close enough to do that.
Here,
and
right here.
What?
You're looking here.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And that's what we did. So well, I got to play the audience too. The gist of it was that doing that skating around, I wound up two things. First of all, I wound up building a racer at one time, just putting skates on a board and a box, and like that. Not a racer. It was. It wasn't a golf cart. It was whatever it was. It was, you know what it looks like. And it could have just not been a board and a board, but in this case we had a box on it, like.
Right. So anyway.
And I want to finish with the thought on this particular one, because the gist of it is that I would do it so much that I had to take the skates off the board or off my feet and take the wheels and take them off and put new wheels on. I wore them out because it was on sidewalk and it was steel and it just wore them out. So I felt very comfortable to be able to repair things, always repairing.
Right. Now, your brother is 8 years younger than you.
Yep, depending on what year.
Okay.
It could be 7.
Okay, 7 or 8 years younger. So, how is that when you're 10 and he's 2, you're 15 and he's 7 or 8? How is the relationship? How do you have a relationship like that? I mean, how would you involve him or not involve him in what you were doing every day?
We lived our own lives. We knew each other. We were together like that. But basically speaking, he wasn't in my life that much in that time. Not until he got older. Right.
How about your sister?
Same, really similar.
Yeah.
Well, of course, the key ingredient, those two guys were doing stuff, and I was in bed.
I see.
I had a lot of that going on.
Right. Okay.
I had vaporizers going. I had a heat lamp going.
Right.
I had sprayer things going.
Any memory of your great-grandfather or great-grandmother?
Only the great-grandfather, no, Joseph, the one I was going to talk, Ida's husband. I do recall things focused because of him. We went to the cemetery, and Ida would go there and cry, and I didn't understand it. All of it was, a stone and a picture of him there. And I remember that. And I was 4 or 5 years old, maybe. Maybe even 7, 8 years old, because Joe was named after him. I believe Grandpa Joe. Yeah, I'm almost positive.
What sort of religion was there in your household growing up?
Oh, with Ida was Jewish, Hebrew, whatever, like that.
How about in your household?
No, they didn't speak. I think Grandma Sarah didn't even speak English for a few years because of I was heard tell. But after that, and when I really...
What did she speak? What?
Probably Yiddish, I would think.
Not Russian or anything?
No, Russian. It wouldn't be Russian. She never lived in Russia. She was born in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Where was your father born?
Orange, New Jersey. Oh. And I was surprised when somebody kept telling me he was born in...
Maiden name?
What?
What was your mother's maiden name?
Sarah? Maybe Judith. I'm trying to think of the middle name. Frankel.
Frankel was her maiden name.
Yeah.
Right, that's right.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to look up her middle name and see what it was.
Do you know what her mother's maiden name was?
Her mother, yeah. Oh, well, I know it was...
What was her mother's name?
Oh, her mother's name was Fanny Frankel.